Welcome along to highlights from the second round of the WTCR Esports Championship from the Circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. It was Max Pfeiffer starting from pole position alongside his teammate and championship leader Bence Banky, who would go down the inside into the first corner to take over the race lead. The drag race down towards Eau Rouge would see everyone heading single file before we got to the corner. Gianmarco Verducci having to get onto the brakes before we entered it as he would drop in behind Gergo Baldi. Baldi though would instantly go on the attack of Alessandro Ottaviani going into Les Combes with the inside line going through Malmedy. The two Dur Esports teammates also side by side ahead. As Gergo Baldi was down the inside of Alessandro Ottaviani, he would manage to just about get his nose ahead, but as they went through the X curve, it was still Alessandro Ottaviani for Fordzilla hanging on to third position. It was drama coming down to the bus stop as a few drivers missed their braking zone, including James Montgomery, who'd get into Juan Manuel Gomez, who would then be spun around. One thing that was commonplace at Spa was track limits, and excursions on that would give you a slowdown penalty. That was exactly what David Noj found as he would drop back a few positions. Side by side between Montgomery and Pinsesh as they were battling further down the back end of the top 10. The battle for 9th and 10th position as they would fight hard. They would drag the rest of the contingent in. David Noj with a second slowdown penalty would drop him outside of the top 10, promoting his teammate Martin Barner up into that final transfer position. Cody Nikola-Latkovsky eventually getting his way through as well. Barner would move his way up into 9th position. Cody Nikola-Latkovsky straight down the inside to move himself into the final position inside the top 10. But Latkovsky would get a little bit too greedy, trying to attack for 9th, getting around the outside of Martin Barner, who'd try and go through Les Combes. The up and under from James Montgomery would push himself back inside the top 10, but only just as they would head down into no name. Dur Esports were able to pull away from the rest of the field in a 1-2 fashion. As much as Pfeiffer would attack his teammate just a touch, it would be Bence Banky coming across the line to take victory in the first race at Spa. On to the second race, the reverse grid would see Jersey James taking pole position ahead of Barner. As they would race their way up towards the first corner at La Source, James Montgomery would hang on to the race lead. He'd instantly pull the entire field from one side of the road to the other as he would try and break the slipstream immediately. Through Eau Rouge and Radion, everyone would head through single file in the top grouping as they would all race up towards Les Combes. Instantly in the race, Vermeulen would receive a slowdown penalty coming through Malmedy, dropping himself behind Pliszka, and then as they exit X curve, pretty much everyone else would come through as well. There'd be contact between himself and David Noj to try and return his way to the racing line coming through Pouon, pushing Noj straight off the road. There was plenty of side-by-side into the bus stop at the end of the first lap as everyone was just trying to find their way into various positions and try and fight their way through. Dur Esports almost tripping up over each other. James Montgomery out a little bit wide for the exit of the bus stop to end the first lap, almost relinquishing his lead over to Martin Barner, who'd get himself alongside down to La Source. Back-to-back battles as well as Adam Pinsesh fighting with Pliszka behind. That battle would carry on as we would see Jersey James dropping back a couple of positions and then potentially even another one as they head through Malmedy. It was a top 2 breakaway at the front. Alessandro Ottaviani was the latest recipient of a slowdown penalty as he dropped back into the clutches of Florian Haase. Meanwhile, Montgomery was feeling the pressure with every single corner. Pliszka trying to find his way through, trying to hang on to third position. Gergo Baldi would make his way past and things would go bad to worse for the Fordzilla man. As there was a bit of a squeeze in the braking zone, Gergo Baldi would come across the nose of the Italian, sending him straight down the relief road at the exit of the bus stop. Gianmarco Verducci would have the up and under to get past the two-time champion, who would then himself receive a slowdown penalty through the next lap, dropping him back. Jack Keithley had done a great job to work his way up the order after starting from the rear of the field due to penalties from the Nordschleife, but unfortunately a slowdown for him would reduce his efforts all the way outside of the top 10. Meanwhile, it was a battle between some of the higher-ups in the championship. Bence Banky making his way past Gianmarco Verducci and his teammate also in tow. Contact between the two of them, Verducci and Pfeiffer coming together, and this battle would take us through the final couple of laps. Verducci with the up and under at La Source, side by side through Eau Rouge and Radion, with Verducci coming out on top just about on this occasion, but up towards Les Combes. Once again an up and under, Verducci with the defensive line, Pfeiffer with the up and under through Les Combes would give him the inside line through Malmedy, where he'd run a little bit wide. Verducci himself would do the up and under as they would start the descent down the hill. However, into the final chicane, there'd be contact between the pair of them, as we would see here, Verducci being cost a couple of positions after contact from Pfeiffer. At the front of the field, though, the two had not battled too much, but it was Pintes versus Barner. Pintes with the move down the inside to try and take over the race lead. The switchback move from Barner were given the outside line going through the final chicane. However, the drag race towards the line would actually lean its way away from Barner after a little bit of a slower run, and it was Pintes taking victory.